coming up.
Sir, they want to talk about tax and representation.
That could be interesting.
So it doesn't want to be like that.
And this is your ancestor.
If I went for it again, I would probably do it entirely differently.
How do you say that?
Oh, don't even remind me of the horrors.
Yeah.
Tell them to go away.
Can't beat a bit of Charles Dickens anyway, can you, to be fair?
We can edit that out, can't we?
Smashed old Joycey.
I could feel the draft from here.
The tips just keep on bloody coming today.
Now show us how it's done.
And now, enjoy the podcast.
How do you say that?
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 Hello and welcome to today's episode of How Do You Say That, sponsored by britishvoiceover.co.uk. It is the show dedicated to anyone who's ever had to read a script out loud in front of a microphone, just like I'm doing now. So here is my co-host, Mark Rice.
Hello.
And today's fun fact about Mark is that his dad traced his family tree back to the Weaver of Sudbury in Suffolk. Is that a pub or something? The Weaver of Sudbury.
Sudbury and Suffolk. There was a weaver. He made baskets and things. He was the village basket maker.
An actual weaver. Well, how do you meet the Weaver of Sudbury these days? How do you come across the weaver?
I don't think there is one now. That was back in 1400 and something.
1400 and something.
But because of that, I am a freeman of Sudbury, and I can walk and graze my sheep on the common in Sudbury in Suffolk. Now I don't have any sheep, so they give me something like £2.50 a year in lieu of not putting my sheep there.
No.
And obviously I give it to charity.
Wow.
It's just lovely. But I am a freeman of Sudbury.
A freeman of Sudbury. And he was just the Weaver of Sudbury. There was only one weaver, and he was
absolutely.
it.
Way back when.
That's
way back when.
Very cool.
Well, my co-host is Sam Boffin, and her fun fact today is that one of her favourite books is To Kill a Mockingbird. Fantastic.
It is. It's one of my favourite books, but amazingly, I've never, ever watched the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never seen the film. And the reason I haven't seen the film is deliberate, because I love it so much that I know what it looks like in my head.
Oh, and you don't want it to spoil.
And I don't want it to be spoiled. Yeah, I'm told it's a fabulous movie. And
it is, but I don't know how it compares to what's in your head. That's the thing.
It's just the most incredible book. And I came to it quite late. I read it on a holiday once when I was in my early 20s.
Oh, nice.
And it blew me away. It's definitely one of my favourite books.
Well, of course, we also have a special guest with us, and this week it's Kerry Hutchinson. Hello, Kerry. How are you?
Oh, all right, mate. Thanks very much for having us on your show, like.
Kerry and the many accents.
You are a man of many accents. Yes, I look forward to hearing what's going to come out in the show.
Yes, I suppose I'd better...
Kerry was born into a military family. His childhood took him to Germany and the Far East, and Kerry's own previo careers took him back there.
Kerry is also a trained actor and voice actor, and he speaks German as a second language, and he's well versed in a range of British accents, as we've already had a bit of a dive into, including his native Yorkshire. I look forward to hearing the native Yorkshire, Kerry, but have you got a fun fact for us?
I have. Whether it's funny or not, I don't know. My American Marine colleagues thought it was actually hilarious.
Good.
My great, I lose count, uncle... Mm-hmm. Who comes from the Hutchinsons in North Lincolnshire before the split in the 16th, early 17th century.
Oh, the Hutchinsons of North Lincolnshire.
The Hutchinsons of North Lincolnshire.
I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thomas Hutchinson, he was the Governor-General of Boston when there was a knock at the door. And he said to his butler, "Who is it?" "Sir, they want to talk about tax and representation." "No, tell them to go away." And so they had the Boston Tea Party. Now, if he'd have only opened the door to them, who knows what might have happened.
Could have been different. Oh, my word.
And this is your ancestor.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, isn't that interesting that we've got two ancestral stories on our fun facts today?
We didn't know that was coming at
yours
all.
Yours was a little more highfalutin than mine, I have to say.
I don't know about that.
Back in the Weaver of Sudbury.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Let's have a look at our first script of the show, shall we? And ask, how do you say that?
Play How Do You Say That?
This is something I did actually last year.
Okay.
Not recently, but last year. And I've chosen it, actually, in honour of Kerry.
Is that because Kerry does a lot of audiobooks?
Yes, it is indeed. It's because he does audiobooks. So it's the beginning of it's the beginning of a short story. So at Halloween and at Christmas time, for years now, I've read short ghost stories live on stage.
On stage? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is great fun. And it's actually very different from doing them in front of a mic. But I mean,
True.
It's the same sort of story weaving, if you like, but it's quite a different performance. Anyway, so this is the beginning of one of those ghost stories.
Okay.
It starts very bright.
It is very bright. When I read through it, it was bright. Now, Kerry, you may know this from listening to the podcast. Audiobooks frighten the life out of me. I do a reasonable amount of long-form stuff in terms of e-learning, but not normally stories. And I don't do ebooks because I don't think they pay enough.
We can edit that out, can't we?
Except I don't think we will. But you love audiobooks, don't you?
To me, it's putting on your thin veil again. You actually invest yourself into the characters, the mood, and you've got to do that. Every audiobook narrator says you've got to lift the words off the page. Of course you do.
Yeah.
The stuff that I'm given, frankly, is by my ex-Special Forces mates who have turned their hand to writing espionage thrillers.
But very successfully, though, Kerry. Don't because and I've listened to some of your books, and they're terrific. You do a brilliant job, and you get really, really fantastic reviews on them.
But I think it's because you want to draw the reader in to make them, or to lead them into going away thinking, "Crumbs, what a story that was!"
Yeah.
Rather than, "Oh, that was a nice read. That was a nice listen."
Well, you are the master of the audiobook, and I am the novice here. So I'm going to have a go first, and I would love to hear what you think of my read. And I know that Sam will. Sam won't hold back. Sam won't hold back either.
I'm not an audiobook critique, Mark, by any means.
Well, now you can be. Today you can be. All right. So let's have a go at this. All right. Triumphantly, Caroline lifted her finger from the fine italic type. There was nothing to mar the success of this afternoon. Not only had she taken the car out alone for the first time, driving unerringly on the right-hand side of the road, but what she had achieved was not a simple drive, but a cultural excursion. She'd taken the Italian guidebook Neville was always urging on her, and hesitantly, haltingly, she had managed to piece out enough of the language to choose a route that took in 4 well-thought-of frescoes, 2 universally admired campaniles, and 1 wooden crucifix in a village church quite a long way from the main road. It was not, after all, such a bad thing that a British Council meeting had kept Neville in Florence.
Nice. Nice pace, actually, I think you gave that. It's trickier for a guy to lift this, perhaps.
Maybe.
But you've got to get, I suppose, you've got to get the excitement of Caroline herself, and this wonderful afternoon where she's spent flitting round these places in Italy.
I mean, as I've said before, these kind of books fill me with
really?
horror. This is not my comfort zone at all, as you know, which you could probably tell Kerry as well. Not exactly my comfort zone.
Sure, but it was a nice, even pace.
Yeah,
one of the things about these is that it's the variation and the pause, and don't be a slave to punctuation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Interesting.
Yeah. How did you feel about it, though? I know it's a horror for you, isn't it?
It is a bit of a horror. I think maybe if I went for it again, I would probably do it entirely differently, but that is not the format of our show.
Yes,
and, that we do the first read, and that is the first read. But, our listeners will go, maybe it's not exactly right. I'm interested to hear what Kerry does with it, though.
Yes, me too.
Right, put your ear defenders in then. Okay, here we go. Triumphantly, Caroline lifted her finger from the fine Italian type. There was nothing to mar the success of this afternoon. Not only had she taken the car out alone for the first time, driving unerringly on the right-hand side of the road, but what she had achieved was not a simple drive, but a cultural excursion. She had taken the Italian guidebook Neville was always urging on her, and, hesitantly, haltingly, she had managed to piece out enough of the language to choose a route that took in 4 well-thought-of frescoes, 2 universally admired campaniles, and 1 wooden crucifix in a village church quite a long way from the main road. It was not, after all, such a bad thing that a British Council meeting had kept Neville in Florence.
Lovely.
See, I really like that. I was
nice.
transported. Yes,
Yeah.
Unlike when I did it, I was transported into the story there. You did it quite lightly, Kerry.
Yeah.
There's a real light touch to that, isn't there?
That bit just seemed to be, light-hearted, fruity,
Yes.
harmless, no darkness to it.
No, there
Yes.
is no darkness to that yet. And so it's interesting to hear that this is the start of a very dark story.
It
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
dark story,
I'll have to
but
read the
it's
rest of it now.
yeah, it's so it was really nice the way you because what you're doing, I suppose, with certainly with ghost stories and things like that, is you're pulling the reader in,
Yeah.
you know, sort of so that you can then drop the bomb if you
Shock
like
them.
of it,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
then be even more shocking.
Wow.
But that was
Sam.
really nice. I thought you lifted that beautifully, actually.
Yes, me too.
Now show us how it's done.
Well, I'll show you how I did it, and it's interesting actually because of course I did this on a stage.
So it is different, yeah.
Yeah.
It is slightly different, so I'll try and see what I do with it. It'll be interesting to see what
In
I do
front
with
of a
this,
mic.
actually,
Yeah,
in front
yeah,
of a
yeah.
mic. So, Triumphantly, Caroline lifted her finger from the fine italic type. There was nothing to mar the success of this afternoon. Not only had she taken the car out alone for the first time, driving unerringly on the right-hand side of the road, but what she had achieved was not a simple drive, but a cultural excursion. She had taken the Italian guidebook Neville was always urging on her, and hesitantly, haltingly, she had managed to piece out enough of the language to choose a route that took in 4 well-thought-of frescoes, 2 universally admired campaniles, and 1 wooden crucifix in a village church quite a long way from the main road. It was not, after all, such a bad thing that a British Council meeting had kept Neville in Florence.
Perfect.
So what you did there on that final sentence, you introduced a bit of dark there because
Yeah.
I reckon something's going to happen to Neville or her.
Wow.
And I hadn't really
You would be
got
surprised.
that before. Interesting. I see what you mean about the punctuation. Ignoring the punctuation actually tells the story a lot more fluently.
When I read stories on mic, it's a lot more stressful than standing up
can
in a
be,
room
yeah,
full
yeah.
of people, because you can make tiny errors.
And then go back
No,
if you
well,
want,
no.
if you want to.
Well, yes, what I mean is you can make tiny errors on stage and nobody notices.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's far less stressful on stage. It's far easier to do it. But anyway, yeah.
3 very, very different reads, and I'm
Very
quite
different
putting mine
reads.
at the very bottom of the pile there.
It's interesting how different people approach them.
I thought it was something that would take me in straight away. It was lyrical, there was the variation in pace, there was the pauses. It wasn't too fast because the listener can't see these words. So you
True.
have to create
Yeah.
the picture for them and give them time to imagine it before you go on to the next piece of information.
And I think
Sam did
that's
that.
my inexperience there, that I
Brilliantly.
wasn't realising that necessarily when I went for it.
It's actually quite a useful thing to do. So it might be, because there's so much storytelling in your average, corporate these days.
Yes. Yeah, true.
That actually
true.
being able
and
to...
e-learner. Blimey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, very much. And I do quite a lot of e-learning.
You
Yeah,
do, yeah.
Well, it's worthwhile remembering that these are real scripts that we've been working on. We've changed names and some details to avoid those pesky copyright issues.
Indeed we have. So, Kerry, you brought us a script. I didn't expect you to bring us this script, but you have brought us this script, and tell us a bit about it.
Okay, this is your classic 30 seconds where it's a radio ad where you really have to put a lot of information, and it's the classic, take your time, low voice, but it's got to be within 30 seconds. So I just thought it might be worthwhile playing with this. I've amended things as well for the old copyright.
It doesn't
reasons.
look like it's overwritten, Kerry, which makes a very pleasant change for a 30-seconder.
No, but when it came out, they didn't leave a lot of running time in between the speech.
Right.
It was back to back almost. But so, and it's a very simple script. I mean, it's not demanding. It has its own mood and its own. It's obvious what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And which is calm people down and stay calm and sell something that's calming.
So it doesn't want to be like that.
These
Doesn't
days,
want to be a
go on.
shouty commercial.
Yeah.
Although, that could be interesting.
Could be interesting, that, but I don't think that's what they're after, though, is it? So,
No.
so it's all about. So we're de-stressing our minds. And,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Relaxing.
You see, I think I know how Sam's going to do this.
Oh, yeah, you probably do. I'll do it exactly like that.
Yeah, I'm prepared to be surprised, but I think I know how you're going to do it. Let's get Sam to do it first and see where she goes with it.
Okay. These days, time is a precious commodity. It's difficult to balance work, life and play, but enjoying quality rest and relaxation is essential for our overall well-being. We need downtime. Time for ourselves. Time for de-stress. At Mindful of West End, most de-stress recliners come in multiple sizes for the perfect fit. Relax your body, free your mind, and discover the ultimate in comfort in the de-stress studio at Mindful.
Lovely. I only just realised that 3/4 of the way through that script is like multiple sizes. It's like, if you're a giant, we've still got one for you.
Yeah.
I think, again, you know what my note would be, Sam, don't you?
I need to go faster.
Yeah, I don't think it would fit in 30 seconds. I may be wrong. I may be wrong
you're
that would fit in 30.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but you did it the way I thought you were going to do it. To be fair, that very calm kind of
Predictable.
yes. No. It's good. It's lovely to be able to. What did you think, Kerry?
Predictable.
Well, you know, Sam even herself says she has a restful voice, and it was entirely restful, so it worked. I would have just made it a bit more seductive, Sam.
Oh, really?
Lower still.
Okay.
Yes, you're
Okay.
right, actually. In trying to be swifter than I normally am. You're absolutely right, Kerry. I was higher than I normally am.
Yeah, it was a bit businesslike at the start.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to have a go, and I think I've got a slightly different way of doing it from Sam. But let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, go for it.
These days, time is a precious commodity. It's difficult to balance work, life and play, but enjoying quality rest and relaxation is essential for our overall well-being. We need downtime, time for ourselves, time for de-stress. At Mindful of West End, most de-stress recliners come in multiple sizes for the perfect fit. Relax your body, free your mind, and discover the ultimate in comfort in the de-stress studio at Mindful.
I don't think I've heard that little read before there.
I don't think I've done that on the podcast before.
It's very exciting.
But I took it down.
Yeah.
You remember we were talking about ASMR a few weeks ago?
Oh, don't even remind me of the horrors.
It felt like it needed to go slightly in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works for me. Again, nice and low down there. I thought you sounded a bit wound up and tense at the first couple of paragraphs, sentences, but no.
That is the proposition, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
You've got to get that one across first of all.
You see, I reckon if I were doing that and I was doing it like that, Kerry, I would probably go back and do those first two sentences at the end. So when I've gone right back into it, do those bits. That old chestnut.
Yeah, that's always a good thing to do. Always a good thing to do.
Are you going to pull something that we're not at all expecting out of this?
Not at all,
Kerry?
no, because it's you using the same word that Sam described my previous website. It's traditional, this read, so it's actually quite an obvious read because you're trying to sell serenity and calmness.
Which is difficult enough anyway, let's face it.
Tell me.
So let's hear your gorgeous tones.
These days, time is a precious commodity. It's difficult to balance work, life and play. But enjoying quality rest and relaxation is essential for our overall well-being. We need downtime. Time for ourselves. Time for de-stress. At Mindful of West End, most de-stress recliners come in multiple sizes for the perfect fit. Relax your body, free your mind, and discover the ultimate in comfort in the de-stress studios at Mindful.
Wow,
I love
now
that.
you did something
free your mind. At
really
the end.
interesting there, Kerry. You pushed all the first three. Well, if people out there are looking at this written down, Kerry pushed the three separate sentences all together so that it felt like one paragraph, those first three sentences. And that enabled you to really speed that up, actually, but not have to speed up what you were saying. So you didn't leave great gaps, as I did, between the paragraphs, if you like.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
I thought you also brought a really beautiful conversational tone to it.
Absolutely.
And that's what putting those three sentences together did. It really
nice.
made it conversational. I don't think either Sam or I went anywhere near that.
No, I agree.
No, I mean, that is very much almost like an instructional point in a military way. You know, that's the finger wagging bit. You know, we've got to be essential for overall well-being. You know, get that out of the way, and then you can kind of calm down and take a bit more time to go over the really getting them to sort of, hey, this sounds really nice. Let's go for it, and take your time over the last 2 sentences.
So you pulled back time at the beginning to give yourself more time at the end.
So what I tried to do, and I don't know whether I did it or not, was those first 3 sentences I tried to pull together without any pauses.
Yes.
And then the killer sentences at the end, you know, that pushing that message gave me then more time within the 29 seconds top and tail to just spend a little bit more time in that bit.
And that was noticeable, really noticeable.
Really nice. A little bit of a masterclass there.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, very much. Yes.
On that little script.
What do we like to say in Newcastle?
It was lovely.
How do you say that?
And so now here is the part of the show that we all love.
Oh, yes.
We kind of love it, occasionally love it. I think I loved it once.
Sometimes
it's the
we hate it.
wildcard section. Let's see if we can approach these scripts in a very different way.
Yes, Kerry, OK, you don't have to go first, but could you pick one of the scripts that we've just done and give Sam a new motivation with it?
I think a kind of Joyce Grenfell approach to script 1.
Gosh.
A no-nonsense.
Joyce Grenfell. No nonsense. To script 1. OK.
You could chew through this, Sam. Much higher register, much faster, and you know, a completely different kind of impact.
Triumphantly, Caroline lifted her finger from the fine italic type. There was nothing to mar the success of this afternoon. Are you listening to me at the back, please? Now, not only had she taken the car out alone for the first time, jolly good girl, driving unerringly on the right-hand side of the road, but what she had achieved was not a simple drive, but a cultural excursion. She had taken the Italian guidebook Neville was always urging on her, and hesitantly, haltingly, yes, but she had managed to piece out enough of the language to choose a route that took in 4 well-thought-of frescoes, 2 universally admired campaniles, and 1 wooden crucifix in a village church quite a long way from the main road, it must be said. It was not, after all, such a bad thing that a British council meeting had kept Neville securely in Florence.
Lovely.
Fantastic.
Lovely. And exactly as I was expecting.
Fantastic. Sam, you smashed that.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Smashed old Joycey.
Smashed it. Oh, indeed, absolutely. But I could see you in Joyce Grenfell kind of character on stage doing that.
I was a bit finger waggy, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
It has to be said. And I stood up taller thinking about it.
Did you?
Yes. I wasn't aware of doing that, actually.
We always kind of talk about the motivation and the visualisation, Kerry, at this point, because we have worked out that visualising it in different ways really does help those reads. But now, Kerry, it's your turn.
Oh,
it's
blimey.
your turn. And I'm going to pick one for you. I am going to go with your de-stress script, but I'm going to turn it on its head and I'm going to make it quite stressy. To be fair, I am going to go. I heard you do a little bit of West Country earlier on, so I am going to take it right down pirate route for you. And not quite your Johnny Depp pirate, but your traditional West Country pirate, because I think that's about as far away from de-stressing
as
you can probably get.
You're going to be sorry you did this, I can tell you. These days, time is a precious commodity. It's difficult to balance work, life and play, but enjoying quality rest and relaxation is, it's essential for our overall well-being. We need downtime, time for ourselves, time to de-stress. At Mindful of Brixham, most de-stress recliners come in multiple sizes for the perfect fit. Relax your body, free your mind, and discover the ultimate in comfort in a de-stress studio at Mindful.
I think that's lovely. And for people that don't know, of course, you're right down there on the south coast. It's not quite as far down Cornwall way as that, though.
No, that's right, yeah. And actually, Brixham is the home of the world-famous, well, it will be soon, and I think it is quite well known, the Pirate Festival in May.
It is, yes,
really?
Absolutely, the Pirate Festival, yes.
Wow.
I thought the read was quite light. When you went in These Days Time is a Precious Commodity, I wondered if you were going in hard enough pirate, but it kind of went more and more pirate as you went along.
I don't know whether it was stressful or wound up enough, though. It was a bit of fun.
I loved it. It sounded as though you're having a huge amount of fun with it.
Great.
That's what I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
It really did.
Yeah, and it needed that, absolutely. Yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. I dread to think what Sam's going to do for me now.
Well,
So,
I'm going to give you Mad Professor.
okay.
And originally, and I flip-flop between the two
good stuff.
because I think Mad Professor is better for script 2.
Yes.
So I think it's trickier to do script 1,
Yes.
but I want to hear you do script 2. So I'm going to be
okay.
really nice and give you Mad Professor script 2.
Okay.
You can be any kind of Mad Professor you
Any
like.
kind of Mad Professor, okay. I sometimes bring out Mad Professor in the third read in auditions. Sometimes.
Do you? I
Yeah,
didn't know
just-
that.
Well, I think it changes the way that you read something.
There you go.
And
Perfect.
occasionally, Sam, I will do that read first before I do it sensibly. And that's what I've learned from doing the podcast. Is like if you do that, then it frees up what you naturally do.
The tips just keep on bloody
they
coming
not?
today.
They do.
All
they
right
do.
then.
Right. Mad Professor, okay, this is blackboard here, whiteboard there, over there. Right. These days, time is a precious commodity. It's difficult to balance work, life and play, but enjoying quality rest and relaxation is essential for our overall well-being. We need downtime, time for ourselves, time for de-stress. And mindful of West End, most de-stress recliners come in multiple sizes for the perfect fit. Relax your body, free your mind, and discover the ultimate in comfort in the de-stress studio at Mindful.
That was amazing. It reminded me of Dan Snow's father. I can't remember his name.
Yes, Peter Snow.
Peter Snow.
Yeah.
I love that. And your command, I have to say, Mark, of being able to deliver those, I mean, and they are OTT characters that
Yes,
you,
they are.
you can, but your command of being able to do that on mic, the knowledge that you have in terms of mic proximity, you never, ever, peak too much in those things. It's really impressive, actually, I have to say. I would have peaked all over the place if I'd have done that.
That's
OTT.
interesting. It's interesting you say that because I know exactly where I am in my booth or in front of my microphone to
impressive.
be able to do that.
So impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to be riding levels, and I don't want a
Yeah.
producer to be riding levels with
Yeah.
it. If you can give them that, I now just need an animation studio to come along and book
Yes.
me, really, don't I?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I could see that Mad
a
Professor.
very good entree.
I really could.
I had the white coat on. And I was pointing my arms all over the place. I don't know if you could hear any of that. Or
I could see the white coat. What are you talking
I
about?
could feel the draft from here. Blimey.
Well, these scripts are in the show notes, so why not have a go for fun in the comfort of your own studio and any wild card that you want?
Absolutely. It's a marvellous idea. And please keep sending in or sharing your ideas for wildcards. It's very difficult to dream up new wildcards every week.
Every
so
time.
give them to us. We'd love to hear from you. So either you can DM us on Instagram at HDYST Podcast or email us at podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk.
Well, now it's question time, and our question this week is, do you have a favourite audiobook? And if you do, why is it your favourite?
Yes.
My favourite audiobook and why has got to be The Five, The Untold Stories of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
by Hallie Rubenhold, and it's narrated by actress Louise Brealey. She was with Benedict Cumberbatch in one of the Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I know who you mean. Yes, beautiful voice.
She had to deliver a lot of fact, a lot of sociological research, because Hallie Rubenhold did not hold back in investigating the lives, emphasised, of these women, because the book and of course the narration brings out in an engaging delivery, really heartrendingly, that all history talks about, Sam and Mark, are how these women died, how they were murdered, and what an infamous person Jack the Ripper was.
Of course,
Nobody has looked at the lives of these women. Where did they come from? I mean, they were wives, lovers and mothers. They were humans. But they've been kind of demonised as prostitutes from the word go by a society which was incredibly misogynistic, judgmental, patriarchal male middle class at the time. Why has history treated the lives of these women as though they were just insignificant. It's all about how
fascinating.
they died. So she's corrected the record, and it is an incredible audio narration and an amazing book that is a real eye-opener.
I was really torn between two, I have to confess, and they're both fiction. And I've kind of come down on The Ruby and the Smoke, which is a novel by Philip Pullman.
Oh.
But it's narrated by, and I've got this particular narration, but I don't think it exists anymore on Amazon or on Audible. It's by Anton Lesser. Now, Anton Lesser is is one of those actors that pops up everywhere.
Yeah.
But I had no idea until I listened to him do this. I say it's a kid's book. It's a young, sort of teenage book, I suppose.
Yep. Young adult fiction.
Whenever I was listening to it, and he is absolutely incredible at being able to pull out all these different characters, so much so that I had to keep checking that it really was just Anton Lesser doing everything.
Okay.
I must have checked about 5 or 6 times when I was actually listening to it, because I just couldn't believe that he could embody all these, and there are a myriad of characters in it. So vividly. I mean, it's a great book anyway, but he really brought it to life. I'm so pleased I've got his version of it.
I'm going to go slightly left field and slightly more traditional than either of you, I think. I have a favourite audiobook narrator, which is naughty of me, I know, but it is the wonderful Sir Patrick Stewart. And I could probably listen to anything by Patrick Stewart.
So you just love his voice.
I love his voice and his characterisation. It's nothing to do with the fact I'm a Star Trek fan as well, but that doesn't do any harm with it. But I think my absolute favourite is the Simon & Schuster edition of A Christmas Carol, narrated by Patrick Stewart, because it is phenomenal. And of course, he also took that to a one-man show in the West End and everything else.
Yeah.
But the audiobook version of it is phenomenal. It is so scary. He has such a horrific tone talking about Marley's ghost and what Scrooge is going through. I just think it's phenomenal. You can't beat a bit of Charles Dickens anyway, can you, to be fair?
Beat a bit of Dickens.
3 very different styles of books that I would love to hear what our audience loves as audiobooks.
Yeah. And this is the point in the show where I would love to say thank you so much, Kerry, for coming on
Kerry.
and
You're
chatting to us.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real blast, this.
Just a reminder that all of Kerry's details can be found in the show notes.
Yeah, very much so. And we'll also be putting both of today's scripts in the show notes as well, so you can have a read yourself. Please have a go. You can send it to podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk if you'd like to, and we'd love to hear what you do with them.
And, of course, it is the same email address for all those wildcard suggestions, and you want to dip into us. Or you can DM us on social media.
You can. If you enjoy listening, do please write a review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes. Well, that's it for this week, and thank you again, Kerry.
You're very welcome. It's been utterly delightful being with you both. Thank you for asking me.
Pleasure.
Oh, fantastic. Well, this is the bit where we all say the name of the show right at the end. So we will be back next week with more scripts and another voiceover guest when we will be asking...
Here goes.
How do you say that?
How do you say that?